It is meteorologist Jacqueline Whittle and Mark Robinson. We are going to go out into the elements here. We are covering Hurricane Ian, and we're going to be, thanks for joining us. We're going to be live streaming to you for some time. So, Mark, obviously the eye wall is just about to be, it's actually starting to impact the area.
Yeah, here's the thing with this one. This is almost a long duration event. So even though the eye wall might be coming on shore right now, it is going to be likely going for a while. Now, some of the winds in there are potentially 100 and like almost 200 kilometers an hour.
Yes.
So we won't be able to do this for very long out in here.
That's right.
So we'll stay on as best we can, and then so we'll come out here. I'll show you.
We'll go get in the elements here to show you these winds. We've got to be careful of any flying debris, which is not around right now. So that's good. We're in a safe position. The good thing about this type of storm.
Yeah, Jack, wait. Come out here.
Yeah.
You can really feel the difference. As soon as you get past the covered area there, you're getting into the stronger winds, sustained winds.
That's right.
So that's one of the things about hurricanes. If you're right on the ocean, nice and smooth.
That's right.
If you're right on this road, nice and smooth. So you're getting that full wind blast. As soon as you're around the corner, it's amazing how much of a change you can have from around the pillar and on the other side. Our cameraman Dave is actually behind the pillar, totally fine back there.
That's right. So you're right. Very well said, Mark. We've got onshore flow is what's happening here. You can feel that coming in. This is a wind gust. So when you get these wind gusts, you really have to brace yourself. Okay. And we've got to be careful of any flying debris.
Trying to watch for debris.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to come back
we have
a
to be
little.
very careful.
Yeah.
Okay. Jack, stop there. So it's very true. This is quite literally happening right now. So, and we've got no script. So this is literally what is the raw things that are happening right now. So things can change very quickly.
One thing I want to talk about, Mark, of course, is the storm surge threat. Where we're at, we are right on the coast. We're in a parking garage. So we have we're on the third or fourth level of the parking garage, well above the risk of any storm surge hitting us and affecting us. But if you're down here on the ground, you're looking at potentially upwards to 16 to 18 feet of storm surge. We've got some people, some chasers in the background yelling, so I apologize.
I doubt they can hear in the wind blast like this.
Maybe not. Yeah. But this is going to be potentially, if the storm surge actually occurs like it's supposed to, maybe all underwater at some point when the surge comes in.
Yeah, we really are watching for when the eye wall comes on, the wind shifts, when the wind begins to shift so that it's pushing the ocean towards us, that's when we're going to get that storm surge. So yeah, there you go. Like, it's getting up, like, this reminds me right at this point, almost at the height of Fiona.
Yeah.
Because keep in mind, we were in this last week, another hurricane.
Not even last week, we're talking about a mere few days ago.
Oh, that's true. I've lost track.
I know, and you're right. This is the difference between this hurricane and Fiona, a much smaller wind field on this particular hurricane. Fiona, when it underwent that tropical or that post-tropical transition, what happens is that wind field expands, as you know. But for our viewers at home, it became this massive wind event, where here, it's almost like more of a drill bit. It's tight, it's small, and I mean, you've experienced this in other hurricanes.
Yeah, the way we like to describe it is what we call the pressure gradient.
Right.
So if you've got, think about it as a hill. Yeah. So here's the high pressure, here's the low pressure, and if you've got it like that, it's the same amount of high pressure versus low pressure, but it really depends on how that gradient goes. So if it's like this, it's just going to roll downhill very slowly, but if the gradient's like this, it goes very fast.
Well
so
said.
that's what we're having here. We've got this, not this.
Right, and then, you brought up a good comparison for our Canadian
Can't hear us.
Can't hear us, too much wind noise. So we're going to have to move a little bit closer. That's good? Stop there? Okay. So
Dave,
when we think about Hurricane Fiona,
we have to be very careful because we're a little bit concerned about debris coming off right here. So I think we'll have to step forward so that we're out of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Just want to make sure that we're not into the as the debris starts to fly, because at this point we are going to start to see debris flying down the street. So we want to make sure that we're safe. But at the same time, we really want to show you what the wind is doing here in Punta Gorda as the eye wall begins to come on shore. And what's amazing, Jack, we may actually see the eye.
If we see the eye, you have to be with us, viewers at the Weather Network. And I'll tell you why. Because it's one thing to get that eye wall. We get the most strongest part, the right side, the right quadrant of the storm. It's the strongest part. It is set to roll right over top of us. If it does, and when it does, it's not an if, when it does, we go from hurricane force wind gusts, category 4, to dead calm and quiet.
Yeah.
And we've seen this before. The last eye you and I have been in was Hurricane Florence. And if this happens,
sorry, Jack. I just saw lightning.
Yeah. Oh, be careful.
No, I just mean that that means
eye walls getting closer.
But the one thing about the eye walls, and I hate to interrupt. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
One of the things about eye walls, if you start seeing lightning in there, it's very unusual in tropical storms, especially hurricanes, to get lightning. Only in the strongest strengthening hurricanes do you get lightning.
So
and we are seeing a lot of that.
On
Yes.
Approach to landfall, which, if that's the case, we're looking at a Category 4 intensifying to a Category 5. At this point, potentially, but at this point, it's like splitting hairs. I go back to Hurricane Michael in 2019, Mark. We were on that storm. We were in a parking garage. It was a Category 4, a high-end Category 4, and it ended up getting nudged up to a Cat 5 after the fact.
Exactly.
So I wouldn't be shocked if data then later reconnaissance data, radar data, all these different things come in, and maybe they end up increasing the rating potentially. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
But it's splitting hairs at this point.
Yeah,
it's practically a Category 5 storm.
Either way, unfortunately, we're down here to document this as best we can, but there's a lot of local people that live here. This is a community, and that's the tragic part of a storm like this. It's going to come in, it's going to do damage to the community. So right now, we're just hoping that the damage is minimized as best we can. Loss of life is zero. That's what we're really hoping for. I think a lot of people down here really understand what hurricanes can do and what to do in that case.
I agree, but I will also say, Mark, when you see these storm tracks start to shift, you've got the entire city of, say, Tampa thinking it's going to be close to them. Want to switch the shot at all? We can move over a bit. I don't know if we're live streaming with our audience back in Canada, but we are in Florida, Punta Gorda. This is just south of Sarasota, Florida, north of Fort Myers. This is the location where the strongest part of the hurricane is going to likely move right over, potentially.
From over top of here.
And Mark, you just heard something. Tell the viewers what you just heard.
This is the first time I have ever heard thunder in a hurricane. I've never heard it before.
I haven't either,
so
when I think about that.
That does tell me that this is an extremely powerful hurricane.
Right.
And that, what we're seeing right now, you're not seeing us move much, and you might be seeing other streams, other areas where people are just getting, like where there's buildings coming apart. it really depends on where you are and where that eye wall is. This one is not a fast-moving hurricane.
No.
And that's what is the big concern right now, is that it's going to grind over top of us for quite a while.
As I talk to you, I'm going to pull up the radar just to see the current situation on my phone, because it's important to see the position of the storm. You've got your anemometer.
I've got my anemometer. Unfortunately, it's having some trouble. So
you can see here, actually.
Yes, we're right on the edge of the eye wall.
Right on the edge of the eye wall, okay, there's the lightning. So we're seeing and hearing thunder. I haven't seen any lightning, but it's certainly lots of lightning around us near Minnesota Key, near Port Charlotte and Punta Gorda. Now let's just talk a little bit about anybody that is riding this storm out. I fear the worst for people that might be in their homes right now, especially on those barrier islands, because we could be seeing storm surge move into that area as high as 18 feet. Once that wind shift happens and it brings and piles up all that water, storm surge, Mark, of course, the #1 killer.
Yeah, now, because I'm not as familiar with the ocean geography around here, I can't necessarily say, oh, absolutely, we're going to see water to here in the middle of the hurricane. What I can say, though, is that is possible.
Right.
We're in a parking garage, as we always are.
Yeah.
So totally safe from that.
Totally.
Unfortunately, again, businesses, homes, people's lives will be affected by this hurricane as it comes in. So that's what we're watching for. I'm hoping that, I'm hoping against hope that the surge doesn't come in through here. I know it's in the barrier islands already. We've seen that.
Yeah, we've seen that.
And we've seen it in Key West.
Oh,
and
yeah,
so,
we thought Key
we're
West,
sort of
for
in the next, we're the next in line for this.
That's right. That's exactly right. And you're right. And when it comes to inlets and barrier islands and bays and all of that, I mean, that's why Tampa would be a catastrophic problem had that materialized in Tampa Bay. But here, it could definitely be very problematic. It could be disastrous. We don't really know how it'll play out, but we're just going to have to ride this out and see how it ends up. And hopefully everybody listened to the local evacuations in your area and got out. I know a lot of people were so focused on the Tampa Bay area that, these things happen, right? We've seen this a million times.
Yeah, sometimes what happens is we expect the hurricane to come in one spot, everybody moves to that area, away, and then it comes in another area.
That's right.
The National Hurricane Center is excellent in what they do.
Yeah.
So what we always say is listen to what your local authorities are telling you. Watch what the National Hurricane Center says, and pay attention to that. Though they are the experts, and they're the experts in both making sure that people are safe and to give you as much information.
That's not our expertise. You know what I mean? Our expertise is being in the elements and bringing you the latest and showing you the current conditions, and we're going to do our best. We did that, of course, with Hurricane Fiona. Much different storm. I would say that the intensity of this is comparable to the peak of Fiona right now.
What is interesting about this, and I wanted to bring this up earlier, the central pressure of this one is approximately what Fiona was.
Right.
And we are only seeing the outer edge of it, and this is how strong it is.
Yes.
But the central pressure of the two storms is similar.
Right.
So you're going to get an idea of what these compact little storms, again, pressure gradient like this versus this.
That's a that's a super
point. We're going to see that. I mean, again, these things do what they're going to do. So sometimes we put ourselves in a spot that we want to be, and it moves past, or we don't get to document the most strongest part. That sometimes happens. This may happen with this one.
Right.
I'm just I would much rather see this go into an area where nobody lives.
I know.
In the middle of nowhere.
And we have seen that.
And we have seen that.
Yeah, and you're right.
This one does look like it's
populated area. Yeah. Unfortunately. I spoke to a couple, Mark, just an interesting story. Maybe you've already seen it running on the Weather Network. Maybe you've seen it on our app. And if you don't have our app, make sure to download it. A lot of snowbirds, of course, have property here in Florida. And a lot of people are interested in what's going to happen and how's my condo going to fare out, or did my neighbors in my condo help me out with my storm what do you call it?
Storm shutters.
Thank you, storm shutters.
Hurricane shutters.
Hurricane shutters. So a lot of snowbirds, down here, and I met these two people that actually fled from Hurricane Fiona. They're from Nova Scotia. They fled, came down to their place in Florida.
Oh no.
And here they are now in Parrish, Florida, which is just north of here, riding Hurricane Ian out. So the irony, and then they were so positive, and they felt that they were prepared. They were hunkered down, and our thoughts are with them. I hope they're going to be okay.
Jack, I want to draw your attention. Just take a look behind.
Oh, look at that circulation.
I wanted to show you because just for a few moments, we actually have a little bit of structure here.
Yes, we do.
So you can get an idea. You can see a little bit of the contrast. Look how fast those clouds are moving past.
100%.
Like they are moving very, very quickly.
Yeah, you can see that circulation very clearly.
Yeah. So this is what we're going to see. Like the fact that we can see anything right now, it tells me we're not in the eye wall.
That's right.
We've been in multiple eye walls, and usually what happens is you lose all visibility.
Yeah.
It's basically high-speed fog.
Yeah.
Right? You just can't see much. Like in the worst of it, I was in Katrina. You couldn't see anywhere.
Anything. Right.
But all you could hear was these bangs and crashes.
Yes.
And it was just like, it was so ominous because you didn't know what was going on.
Yes.
And I fear that this one may be, something similar to that. So again, we have to make sure that we're as safe as possible. We're in a little bit of a lull just outside the eye wall. So it's taking a while for that eye wall to get on shore, but when it does, it may sit on top of us for quite a while, and that's the big concern.
I apologize. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the catastrophic damage that can occur with a Category 4 hurricane, okay? So we're talking about winds sustained anywhere between 209 and 251 kilometers an hour. So well-built frame homes sustain severe damage, loss of most of the roof structure and some exterior walls. Most trees will be snapped and uprooted and power poles down. Fallen trees and power poles will isolate residential areas. Power outages will last weeks to possibly months as potential, and most of the area will be inhabitable for weeks or maybe even months. That's coming right from the National Hurricane Center, that information. So a Category 4, certainly something to take very seriously, and us too. Like we're down here doing this right now, but as soon as it gets uncomfortable for us, we're going to take shelter.
Yeah, and I'm looking in a weird direction. I may look, but I'm watching for debris coming our way. This tree right here. Now,
well, you can already see that lamps come down. Do you see that?
Yeah, this is a palm trees. They've actually evolved to withstand this kind of wind.
Yes.
So the palm fronds rip off.
Right.
But the main tree, because there's not much there, it can withstand the wind.
They're
not like carnivorous trees. One of the big issues down here is a lot of imported trees have been brought down here because everybody wanted an oak tree outside of there, or they wanted a maple tree. Right. They'll grow great. The problem is they have not evolved down here. So as soon as you get a good strong wind, down they come. And we see this a lot in older communities.
I can remember
I'm hearing bangs now, so I'm just watching.
We'll keep a close eye.
So this is one of the big problems with some of these areas. You've got non-native trees, and they come down on people. Keep in mind, we're probably talking to a bunch of people that are just watching us down here, but even when we're talking about thunderstorms, I'm actually seeing some palm fronds coming up. We're talking about thunderstorms. That's our big issue in Ontario, across Canada. That rips off branches, trees come down. Yeah. Even branches that, maybe as thick as my arm, those can weigh hundreds of pounds. Oh, for sure. So even you think it's small, it can kill. We were reporting in Hurricane Fiona, and the winds where we were 140, about 130 some odd kilometers an hour, maybe more along the north shore of the island in PEI. And we had trees coming down near us because there's just so much canopy and they're so large. We saw this in Wilmington, North Carolina, same thing in Hurricane Florence. Yeah. And it's one of those things that it is different because we're not in this large canopy of trees right now. I was in with Fiona with you. Right. And I haven't seen you in like 3 years.
That's
this is
true.
The thing. We were so close to each other. But you had a really interesting experience in Fiona because you were in PEI and you had trees coming down. Yeah. Dave, our cameraman and I were in Lewisburg. That's right. And we didn't see a lot of trees coming down because we had much more scrubby trees, very smaller ones. Interesting. But when we checked afterwards at the Fortress of Lewisburg, whole forests were just cut down. I saw that video. So that was the sort of thing, it was interesting. I didn't think it would happen like that. Right. And yet we saw that. So this is the kind of thing we may see around here. I've seen palm trees this big come down. They don't tend to come down. I've seen it as well. So this is why I'm watching. Yep. When we get those gusts. Yep. And they're swaying for sure. So Jack, if you come out here for a second. No. I want to be very careful. Yeah, there's those lamps. Yeah, you gotta be careful of that. So I'm watching right here. So if we're standing back here, Jack, we're far enough. Whoa, whoa. Tell you that the winds are definitely increasing since the last time we just went out there. Big gust, be careful. Yep, no worries.
Careful that lamp. That lamp's probably going to come off, so we got to be careful. Let's move over here. Okay. All right. So definitely increasing winds. I can feel that.
You hear that?
Yes, that's the roar.
You hear the roar.
That's the roar of the hurricane.
Beginning to roar.
Yep, I heard that as well.
Yeah. So this is where things begin to ramp up in a big way.
I'm going to look at radar again.
Because this is going to last for so long, we're just seeing the initial part of it, and we'll do our best to bring you, the worst of it, the strongest of it. But keep in mind, as this begins to come in, we are going to start to lose cell service.
Yes.
So rest assured, we're going to be okay, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. But for now, we're going to try and sort of bring you the storm. But we may lose, and this is very common. We have the same thing happen in Fiona.
Excuse me, but I have to interrupt you to show you this eye wall is starting to intensify right around the eastern side of it. I don't know if we're showing radar or hurricane while we're live streaming. If we are, you're the viewers, we're right there. And here this is all filling in and starting to intensify. It's coming right towards us. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked if that is the outer band of the eye wall coming on right now. Right? Because if you look at that.
But it's coming it's coming so slowly.
Oh yeah, but in another 10, 15 minutes.
It may even be long. Oh, maybe you're right.
Don't you think?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
I think it's really going to deteriorate quickly, and we may have to think about moving.
Now, one of the things I want to do, when we get a chance, I'm going to go up to the top of that parking garage and get some nice clean wind readings to try and see how fast the winds we got. I got 100 kilometers an hour in Fiona.
Right.
This may be considerably faster. I've never had my anemometer above 100. So I'm going to be safe up there because there's not going to be any, debris flying around. That's the biggest danger in these hurricanes. And
there's that roar.
Okay.
There's
we might
that
have
roar.
to move. We might have to move. Yeah, we're getting debris going down the street now. Yeah, we can't, Wow.
Yeah, that's what I mean. In the next 15 minutes,
so fast.
We really can see this ramp up.
Yeah, so we're pulling closer and closer to Dave because we don't want to necessarily be standing out there.
I've
got my helmet on, so I can go out further than you.
Yes, you can, absolutely. And right now, I just want the viewers to know that we have a huge parking garage, a brick
Dave,
solid
why don't
structure.
you show them? If you just turn towards, you can actually see what we've got here. Well-built building. There's a bunch of other chasers around. That's one of the most important things. Oh.
So we're going to actually stop this live stream for the time being, and we're going to go into the parking garage. I think that's an appropriate time. Stay with us.
There we go. Power's beginning to go. Power's beginning to go out.
All right, so stay with us. We are going to be live streaming again, but we're going to get inside because I think that's the right decision. Thanks for watching.